Hi and welcome to this video. In this video I make further progress with the Cabane struts. Last video I did a bit of work on the rear Cabanes. This one I start working my way a little bit further forward. Don't quite get things finished, but hopefully you'll get some tips on doing some of the work. So join me in the video. Okay. You saw how I marked out the upper rear plate and how things were marked out on the remainder of the plate. What I did was I cut and made two master edges. So I had two of these set up with master edges. I had one marked out and drilled using my optical center punch. So 4.5. I then put the two together with their master edges matching and clamped them together, drilled through the 4.5 and then reamed them out the 3/16, 4.8 millimeters, and then cut the pair to size as a unit. So there we have the two completely matched. So now it's a case of separating them, deburring them. I'll be putting the radiuses on the top corners, the same as I did for the rear one, and then I'll fit them to the jig and we'll see how we get on from there. So far I've effectively built up this midsection here exactly the same way as I did the rear section. There is a difference, or will be a difference, coming up later for this tube and the middle tubes and the front tubes, which go sort of up here on this sort of line, in that they have doublers fitted inside each end, so they have sleeves inside. According to the plan, the top tubes here, the middle ones, need to have a slot in to allow for the nut. I think it's going to be quite tight for on the head sides as well. We'll find out on that one. I think it's going to be quite tight, and I think there's going to be an issue down here with these. There's no way you're going to get a bolt that just the head would protrude too far into the tube, so I can see that needing to be slotted as well. So I've dressed the mouth back on at the end of the tube back the same way as I have for the others, but there's still no way that is going to go in far enough or suitably to, you can probably see we're just not going to get that in past the end of the bolt. So yeah, the same as it is on that side, we're just not going to get it in there. So thankfully I just drilled the holes out to 4.5, and this has got to be sleeved. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to now put the sleeve inside the tube and drill it for the rivets, and I'll use grippers just to hold the whole thing together, and then we'll go around the problem of slotting the end of the tube so that it will allow it to go around the nut. Okay, so for the rivets for these doubler tubes, first off I'm just going to mark up where the end of the doubler tube will come to. So that is where the very maximum end is, and then the point at which I don't want to be going anywhere with rivets is beyond there. That'll be where actually that's in line with the end of the the bracket, I can put the last rivet there going through front and back. 6 rivets according to the plans are needed per end, and they're 1/8 rivets. So for me the land should be 2.5 times the diameter. So that's 5/16. So I will go out to 5/16 there, and that is where the furthest rivets are going to go, and then I'm going to go halfway between these two, whatever that happens to be. So we're looking at 3/4 of an inch, that looks it. 3/4 of an inch. So they're the rivet lines, and I'll put one line of rivets going along the sort of centre line that way, and then the others will be spaced around at 60 positions going around, or 60, so that they're all spaced around the side there. Now to do that I'm going to use another cheat. Okay, so mark the centre line, both sides at 90 degrees to the bolt hole. Marked a line on this tape which I cut the end off and started on that line. Makes life nice and easy. I'll just now cut along there. That'll do me just fine. And what we'll do now is we'll measure that and try to divide that by 6, which looks relatively easy because it's 3 inches thereabouts, just over 3 inches, which is what we'd expect with being 1-inch pipe. So it's going to be 1 times pi. So we don't have to be super critically accurate, but if I do it sort of 1/2 inch, the one in the middle there is where we'd be on the other centre line. So now just stick the tape back on, run it around like that, and now all I need to do is just set up with a little block of something reasonably suitable. If I get that so it matches there, draw the line, I can draw a line, and so on. So now I've got lines going around there nicely. 2, 3, 4, yeah. So I can get that set up. We know where the end dot is. We know where that one is. So it's just getting the ones in the middle, and I can just do that, literally measuring from the end, and I can put my marks, and then I'll centre punch it. So now they're all centre punched. There's enough distance between each set of rivets so the pitch is suitable, so they're not going to interfere. I'm going to drill one of these 2 1/8 right into the sleeve, and then I'll use a gripper pin. I'll then drill the others. So I'll show you what that looks like when I've finished. Okay, there they are, all drilled out with the 2 grippers in. I'm just going to drill through these holes here, the 4.5mm, and I'm going to just do the initial chamfer on the edge of the sleeve here, just to allow me to tilt everything up in the bracket, and I'll show you. Okay, so I happen to have V blocks, just makes life a little bit easier. I've got these up, and the bracket would normally fit on here, so what I'm just going to do is I'm going to put drill bit through, like that, and then now, because I've already chamfered that, that's nearly at the angle it should be at, nearly, close to. Can't get much better, but here's where our problem is. There's no room there for a bowl's head or anything else, so we know that we've been struggling, you know, trying to, you know, fit anything in there, and we need to do a slot. So what I've got here is I've got a 6.2mm drill, and I'm just going to use the block here as a guide. And I've put a mark in. So take the drill bit out. Where that is, I am now going to go straight down with a drill bit that will clear the diagonals on a 1/4 bolt. So the dimension that we want to be able to clear the corner lengths from there to there, which just happens to be a 1/2 inch. So that's what I'm going to use now. I'm going to drill straight down there, 1/2 inch on the pillar drill, and then we can slot this slot back to accommodate the bowl's head. And what I'll try to do when I put everything together is, when we have a nut going through on this side, because it'll be a nut, I'll try to orientate it so that the flats are in that sort of direction, like that. Make life a little bit easier. Okay, so the bolts here fouled. You can just see that I've made the slot there so it clears. All these have been drilled for their 6 rivets, top and bottom, chamfered back initially with just I chamfered back just a tube, then I put the sleeve inside, and then I chamfered the sleeve to match the tube, but I kept it all at 4mm to start off with, and then once I'd drilled the tube and put the gripper pins in here, I then managed to then drill and ream the top holes there. And as I sort of said on the previous one, you know, the only way we can get these bolts in is through from the bottom up, which is not ideal, but it works. So there's the slotted end to clear the nut. There's the top end chamfered. I think we will end up having to put a slot into here, or drill a hole for the bolt which is going to go through there. I'm not quite sure exactly where it's going to go through, because using this side as a guide, the the angle at which the bracket is. This bracket is more vertical than this bracket. This one's more canted out, which is to be expected because the fuselage is wider at the midpoint than it is at the very nose, so I anticipated that a little bit. I'm going to drill for the centre of this bracket because this one's going to have the nut and everything sticking out, so that's definitely going to need to be slotted as per the plans, although going from what the plans were saying, only that particular one there, only that one there needs to be slotted. So they're wrong because this front one here at the bottom needs to be slotted, but I haven't slotted it back as far as they're saying it needs to be done at the top, which makes me think I probably won't need to slot it back as far for the top there either, so I can leave a little bit more meat on it. I'll do that probably after I've fitted the sleeve inside, because the front tubes here have the sleeves, that one there has sleeves, that one there doesn't have sleeves according to the plan, and we'll work out whether the top end there needs to be slotted or what I'm going to do at the top end there, if there's not enough room for the head of the bolt going through, which I don't think there will be. We'll find out. Okay, so the situation now, got the lower sleeves in on the front and centre struts. Rear one doesn't have anything. I've got the sleeves drilled for the top, but I'm not riveting those yet because there's going to be a little bit of adjustment possibly needed to the radius at the top where it meets up with this little lot, and I might need to slot it for the heads of the bolts, not sure yet. So this side, where I know I'm going to have to put a slot in on the centre section, I've taken the bracket out and I drilled a hole 1/2 inch from the edge to give it the correct edge distance, and there we are. It's sort of quite nicely sort of set up there, and I've drilled that to 1/8 or 3.2 millimeters, and put this all together and tightened up the top nut there so as it's tight, so this little lot can't pivot. I'm just going to put a 3.2 mil drill and just through the hole there and just make a start on it. Then I'm going to strip the whole of this top apart and drill through the 2 top plates on the pillar drill with that 1/8 drill bit. That way everything will be nice and straight in line. Reassemble it and then we can go on from there. Okay, so I've drilled the lower holes here, 4.3 millimeters, sorry, 4.4 millimeters, so they're ready to, I can actually put a ream right the way through. It was all stacked together along with the middle brackets, so that's all drilled as a match set. So all we've got to do now is just put that all back together, assemble it up there with the front brackets in position. I can tighten those up and then I can drill through, use a drill through these holes here to mark up the front brackets, and that way I can then drill those so that they're ready to accept the front struts. A little bit of backwards and forwards assembling and stripping, which will mean I'll have to take it all apart again to get those front brackets off to drill them all the way through, but we'll see how everything goes. So as anticipated, the hole is quite a way off to one side, but there's enough room, looking at it, for the bowl's head to clear the inside edge, so we should be okay. Okay, so with that hole drilled in there. I've done this one as well. These top bolts here have been tightened up fully, so everything is there's no wiggle factor. I'm now going to put the drill through here, the 4.4 drill through there, so that it puts a mark on the back of this tuber here, so so I can see exactly where it impacts there, and that will create my center point for the 1/2 inch drill, and we'll see where that goes to see whether I need to slot it, whether I can just leave it as a round hole. If I can leave it as a round hole, that'd be even better, but we'll see what happens. Well, the interest factor, that's in a little bit. You can sort of see the very centre of the hole there, which is because it's been drilled at an angle. It's probably 1/2 inch in from the end of the tube from there. So where it says on the plans be 3/4 inch in, and then drill a 1/2 inch hole, I think that's excessive. I'll show you what I mean what it sort of says, just to make sure. It says 1/2 inch hole, 3/4 from the upper end. So reading that, you'd come in 3/4 inch and drill the hole. Or it could mean that the edge of the hole should be 3/4 inch in from the end of the tube. It's not particularly clear. I'm going to have a look and see how much land that gives me. I don't, because it's not a case of this area being stressed. If it cracks, it's just going to crack through to nowhere, to thin air, so it doesn't make any real difference. So I may well just drill that hole as a hole and see what happens. So there's the hole drilled, a 1/2 inch hole. Everything needs to be deburred and pulled apart yet. Well, just having the hole works perfectly there. That's great. Well, that's it for this week. Still got a chunk more work to do on these Cabane struts, so hopefully in the next video we can get that lot put together. So let's see what happens. Bye now. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the thumbs up. You can subscribe or even hit the little bell notification for future videos. Any comments would be appreciated, and I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can. Remember, go fly and feel the sky.